Hello. As promised, I was going to revisit the Harugumo with a full gunboat build, and that's exactly what I did here, running AFT plus PFT plus Demo Expert plus IFHE. So obviously, well, the ship was already incredibly strong against DDs, so after switching to this pure gunboat build, naturally it became even stronger against destroyers. This shouldn't really be any surprise to anyone, and considering this build doesn't even run Concealment Expert, if a DD allows itself to get caught by a destroyer with 6.9 km concealment, they kinda deserve to be wrecked. Especially at that kind of close range. So that was not in any way surprising. It was already really good against knife fighting other DDs, and if you had a pure gunboat build, obviously it was going to get better. Full broadside AP, well, this was also something that we already established was very strong. I showed you a pretty good example against the Yamato, so of course switching to pure gunboat build only made it better. Once again, not surprising in any way. Very effective, but nothing really surprising in that sense. What did, however, kind of catch me off guard was just how murderously powerful this ship became against what I kind of consider the counters. Here, for example, I smoke up in the cap, and it appears a rune, most likely running Hydroacoustic Surge, is attempting to rush my smoke. And this is where this gunboat build plus this IFHE with 32mm pen, this combination really started to display its raw potential, its raw power that you had available. This guy is pretty much going full speed against my smoke. He's blind firing into my smoke. He wants to push the smoke. The problem is though, my damage is so incredibly absurd. You note that I'm not really getting any shatters. It's raw penetration damage, plus of course I got a double fire on it, damage con the earlier fires, and I instantly started new ones because I have so many shells in there. At this point I could probably use AP perfectly fine, but I mean, I already got the HE running, and he dies. And that's how quickly he dies. And that's when I started noticing that with this build, things that are normally your counters are kind of being wrecked. I'm in the open, I'm trying to torp a smoked up Z52, I'm trying to basically scout and push, I'm caught in the open and I'm radared by a Donsko that has something like 18k health, I have almost no health, I'm caught in the middle of the open with 3 to 4 ships shooting, all helping me. And I start picking a fight with the Donsko. I turn away to angle of course, but I'm straight up picking a fight with him. And he's losing this fight. He's losing this fight horribly. He's got a bunch of teammates to help him, he's got a ton of support to help him, but my raw DPM is more than enough to absolutely shred him. In fact, if he hadn't had all this help here, then I would have just easily killed him. Even then, I did 17,000 damage to him and I did kill him. Pretty much completely solo, even with this entire team helping. And I started noticing this, and I started playing very aggressively. And it really shows. In this case, I'm caught by Des Moines in the open, and I even misplay here because I think it's going to give me broadside. So I switch to AP, and note how much health he has. And I shoot 2 full AP volleys, and then when I realize he's angling in. So that's basically 2 volleys that I completely wasted, and my health is practically gone. And then I switch to HE. And we get these cruisers that don't have any armor to shatter these shells on any part of his ship, and all we get is raw damage. Once again, I could be using AP here, but I really don't need to. This HE DPM is so insane that the Des Moines loses a close range battle against this destroyer. A close range DPM battle he loses. And of course when you combine all these things, for example here I'm pushing up deep into the enemy cap, or deep past our own cap. I have 116k damage here, and I want you to keep in mind that because this is going to go pretty fast. I spot the Monarch. The Monarch of course is 32mm armor, and that's something I would love to punish. So I start shooting him because my smoke is about to come up, and I pop my smoke, and here we go. The raw damage. Here I start getting pens, I get a fire, and it looks like one of my torps is gonna hit that Yamato on the nose, which is of course exactly what we wanted. We didn't care for the damage, we wanted that one flooding, so if he starts angling away or kiting away or something, note that I have 140k damage now. He repaired the flooding, 140k damage, and the Monarch repaired the fire. So everything from this point on is raw gunpowder. And I start a fire, and I aim for the back of his ship because I want to start additional fires. But now we got just that raw DPM, that raw dakka just raining in, and he starts giving broadside, so naturally we switch to AP. I already mentioned, especially when I'm this low health with AR kicking in at this point, plus this BFT full gunboat build. He's actually even going to blind farm me in the smoke because he's so point blank, and because this ship is so large, he's gonna get a lot of hits. But of course that just makes my guns even angrier because my AR kicks in even further. 189,000 damage. I just dealt 50,000 raw gun damage to that Yamato. Well, almost 50,000. So, at this point, when you start combining all these elements, like even the torps, even though I mentioned the torps aren't very good, and they practically have a 3-minute cooldown, well, pretty close. In this case, I push into a gap, and I drop both the torps. Even though both the sets of torps with the torpedo reload booster, even though the torps aren't that good, and with a long reload, they are still Shimakaze torps. And they do still have a fair amount of effectiveness because they have 12 km range. They are quite fast and they hit very hard. So you can't completely count them out. You can't, like, these are not Khabarovsk torps. These are not torps that are completely useless, basically. These torps can do a lot of damage, and these torps do have a lot of potential if you get the perfect volleys off, this is pretty much a prime example of getting the perfect volley off when the enemy team is starting to push that flank. At this point I have to reverse because the Des Moines is pushing, so I can't do as much gun damage as I would want on top here, but I mean, that was basically, with the combination of torps and guns, that was almost 100,000 raw damage. So the torps are not good, but they're not the end of the world either. So I think this is a bit much. This is a bit much, chat. Oh, well, sorry, chat, viewers, subs, everyone. This is just the combination of all of this. I think it is a bit much. Yes, it has a lot of weaknesses, and I feel like Wargaming has kind of painted themselves in a corner here, because this ship is gonna be kind of a pain to balance now. Because, well, the torps, even though they have their effectiveness, they're not really that good. The ship is very slow, the ship is incredibly clumsy, it accelerates like dirt, it handles like garbage, it's massive in size, it's like 50% larger than pretty much all the other destroyers. Its concealment is garbage. It has all these downsides, and the only thing it really has going for it is these guns. So if you make the guns garbage, then the ship automatically becomes garbage. So it's gonna be kind of a pain to find a good balance here, where the ship is still, the guns are good without the ship being completely ridiculous. Because at this point, I can't call this ship anything else than being overpowered. It just feels way too overtuned. In fact, I'm gonna leave you with a little clip of basically me locking down this entire right flank of the map. I'm pretty much alone on this flank, and I think I rack up something like 100,000 damage in about 5 minutes of gameplay. So I'll leave this clip to you guys, combined with all the others, and I'll let you guys draw your conclusions. But in my opinion, yeah, this is a bit much at this point. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the commentary and enjoy the dakka.
す。
魚雷確認。前方から魚雷接近。